I hope you have enjoyed the festival so far. After this panel, after a joyous, vibrant dance and song event, we are going on to a serious discussion, and the festival will be ended with Devojyoti Mishra's music performance. But before that, the panel discussion, I request Nirmal Kanti Bhattacharya, the moderator of this panel, which says, "The writing is on the wall. Revisit, rediscover, reimagine." There goes the panel, and I request Nirmal Kanti Bhattacharya to take his seat as the moderator. The panelists are Jawhar Sircar, Sanjay Mukhopadhyay, Prabal Kumar Basu, Anirban Bhattacharya, and Paranjoy Guha Thakurta. Our trustee Mrityunjay Kumar Singh was also in the panel, but he had to leave in an urgent medical emergency, so please excuse him. Our moderator, Nirmal Kanti Bhattacharya, who happens to be our founder trustee, and all other panelists, I was sure needed no introduction, from me at least, but still, it's a formality, so I'm carrying on with that. Nirmal Kanti Bhattacharya is an editor, critic. No, but the Notun session. Reading class. Is an editor. Nirmal Kanti Bhattacharya is an editor, critic, translator, and cultural administrator. He has taught English literature at Guwahati University and comparative literature at Jadavpur University. He has served as the director of the National Book Trust of the K.K. Birla Foundation and editor of Indian literature from 2013 to 2016. He was editorial consultant for the multi-volume documentation project of Rashtrapati Bhavan. An accomplished translator between Bengali and English, his works include translations of Rabindranath Tagore, Two Sisters Quartet, Mahashweta Devi, The Armenian Champak Tree, Sunil Gangopadhyay, The Dreadful Beauty, Manik Bandyopadhyay, Burnt Turmeric, and Shishendu Mukhopadhyay, The Ghost of Goshai Bagan. He has also translated Kannada and Marathi works into Bengali and Gandhi's unabridged autobiography. Recipient of the IBBY Best Translator Award 2012, he is currently editorial director at Niyogi Books, New Delhi. That's Nirmal Kanti Bhattacharya for you. Now for the panelists. I start with Anirban Bhattacharya. He is currently working as a senior assistant editor at Aishomai. He is the page editor of Saturday and Sunday supplementary special. He also worked as a content head of the podcast platform Aishomai Gold. He has directed award-winning audio plays for audio platforms such as Spotify and Amazon Audible. Besides acting in films and theatre, he is also writing screenplays. Graduated from Presidency College and did his master's from CU in Ancient Indian History. He has authored 3 books and working on the social, cultural, and political history of cricket and football. Jawhar Sircar, who is Jawhar to us for a long time, is a former IAS officer, parliamentarian, and public intellectual. Selected to the Rajya Sabha in 2021, he resigned prematurely in September 2024 to join a historic popular movement seeking justice against mafias and safety for women, placing civic responsibility above parliamentary privilege. With 4 decades of administrative service at the center and in West Bengal, he was India's longest-serving cultural secretary and later CEO of the National Public Broadcaster. He has been publicly commended by a former President and Prime Minister of India and received the British Museum Silver Medal for contributions to Indo-British cultural cooperation and museum reforms. Educated at the universities of Calcutta, Cambridge, and Sussex, he has served as a chairman of the Center for Studies in Social Sciences, Kolkata, and remains active in research, writing, public speaking, and advocacy. Sanjay Mukhopadhyay is again Sanjay da to us, known to us for a long time, and I'm sure everybody knows about him, but still. Sanjay Mukhopadhyay is a prominent figure in contemporary Bengali culture, an author, translator, and distinguished academic. He served as professor and head of the Department of Film Studies at Jawhar University and was also the director of the School of Media, Communication and Culture. He acted as director and CEO of Roopkala Kendra, a state-run institute for film and social communication in Kolkata. Renowned for his scholarship on Ritik Ghatak, he has published extensively on Ghatak's works and edited collections of his writings on cinema. Mukhopadhyay has authored 9 books and translated and introduced skips by Godar, Bergman, Cocteau, and Truffaut. He is frequently interviewed on cultural issues. And we are left with Prabal Kumar Basu. He began writing poetry in the early 1980s and is a prominent voice in contemporary Bengali literature. He has published 21 volumes of poetry, 3 short story collections, 5 books of essays, and a verse drama collection. His works have been translated into several Indian and international languages. He edited Signpost, Bengali Poetry Since Independence, an important English anthology of Bengali poetry, and also edits Yapanchitra, a noted Bengali little magazine on art, poetry, literature, and culture. His debut poetry collection, Tumi Prothom, earned the Gauri Bhattacharya Memorial Award, while Jamon Kore Gaiche Akash received the State Academy Award in 2005. He currently serves as the editor of Yapanchitra and chairman of the Kolkata International Foundation for Art, Literature and Culture. So that is my reading exercise for the panelists. We are waiting for Paranjoy Thakurta, so I'll come back and read his biography as well. So now I request Nirmal da to please carry on.
Thank you very much for lightening my labor to a certain extent. Though it's always a pleasure to introduce friends, particularly illustrious friends, in presence of the audience. Unlike I had an earlier session on contemporary Indian poetry. In that session, I tried to keep the topic in quotes so that it is focused on the theme. But in this session, the theme is slightly, undefined. Writing on the wall. So writing on the wall can be anywhere, on any matter, on any subject. It can be on poetry, literature, it can be on politics, it can be on governance, it can be on, any aspect of human existence. So here, my panelists are free to talk about anything they want. Yeah, journalism, I know. We have heard him being introduced. So it can be on any subject. Second difference from my earlier session is that in that session I insisted that everyone should speak in English so that it doesn't become unfair to 2 participants, Shiva Prakash and Jitendra Prasad, who do not understand Bengali. But in this session, in the panel, everyone speaks Bengali. I don't know whether in the audience we have anyone who does not. Martha and oh God, okay. I didn't know Martha, you were still around. I'm sorry. So we'll keep you posted, so far as language is concerned. Now, writing on the wall. Well, the phrase actually emanated from a biblical reference. In the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, when Belshazzar feast was going on, the king Belshazzar's big feast was going on in the palace, then an unknown hand wrote on the palace wall that the fall of this king is imminent. And lo and behold, within 3-4 months, the kingdom fell and Belshazzar was killed. So since that day, it's a kind of, it's a kind of interpretation being used in different fields. Whenever something is going on somewhere and people feel that it cannot continue forever, it can be oppression by the dictators, it can be anything, maybe in poetry there is a stagnancy somewhere, anything. And if people start speaking about it, speaking against it, and people feel that this cannot continue for long, then it is called you must see the writing on the wall. So this is the premise of our topic. The curator of the festival definitely had something in mind when this was curated. I did not have any time to discuss about it with anyone. And so this is how I look at the topic. Now it is left to the interpretation of the speakers. Can I begin with you, sir?
Okay.
Yeah. So I begin with Jawhar Sircar, and because he is very eloquent and he will be able to articulate the topic to the best of anyone's ability.
Thank you, Nirmalda, and thank the audience and my panel for being here. Banglaয় বলবো ভেবেছিলাম কিন্তু I'll mix up and speak the way we do. Now, what is this writing on the wall that this topic implies? এটা তো আমাদের উপর ছেড়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে। So for the last few years, one has been noting with concern a particular directional tendency across the globe. To understand that part, one has to go back to the time when I was a young man, which is 100 years ago, and many on the panel were also, Sanjay is my age, so I'm talking of the 60s. Let's be specific. 67 was the year of Naxalbari. 67 was the year when China growled. 68 was the year of Champs-Élysées of Paris, where international students marched hand in hand to the Place de la Concorde. 68 was the year when the police fired and killed 4 students in Ohio University, and all over the world there was a lot of protest. 69 was the heralding in of the Cultural Revolution in a formal sense. So everything at that point of time was under what I call a left paradigm. As a student, I often wondered whether all of it needed to be put in that bracket of protest, left, and all that. Now, within it, there were contradictions. In 69, we had Woodstock, which in today's word would be taken as Aposanskriti or Mukta Sanskriti, and it could be taken in any way, Woodstock. There were the hippies who came in. So we remember that period, and it is from there that the journey begins, and the pendulum has swung so decisively to the other side. So decisively to the other side, it started with an unknown tyrant coming up in Hungary, the first of the lot, and then followed by one after the other, all states one after the other. Even beautiful Japan, the world's most beautiful country, has voted an ultra-rightist with a resounding majority just 2 weeks ago. What is the writing on the wall? I would refer to a tendency beyond sectoral analysis. I would take a long-term historical, move back and take a long-term historical view as to whether people and politics and aspirations have any particular design. Now you can say this is very abstract. This is very abstract. How can you talk of all the people having any design? A gentleman called Rousseau had spoken about general will, that all the people, when they get together, they express their general will. We laughed it off. I was in 1970, I laughed it off. How can people, I mean, we can't decide on what to eat in the portico. How can you have a general will that transcends everything? The Rousseau is a philosopher, he can say anything. But then you may have observed, when crowds start moving in a particular direction, there is no sense left, even if it leads to stampede. You may have observed that in a stadium, when a match is going on, a small group in a stand gets up with their hands up, and instantly the entire stadium goes in for what we call the Mexican wave. Nobody thought of it. Nobody planned it. And it goes in perfect musical synchronization. So people as a whole are capable of producing phenomenon that they do not consciously think of. That's my humble submission. So right now we are going through the phase where we will suffer, I'm sorry to use my word, which reveals my philosophy, we will suffer right-wing fascist tendencies unchallenged for quite some time more. But within, being a Hegelian, I'll say within every thesis lies the seeds of its antithesis. The seeds have already started sprouting. What appeared to be an invincible force is now slowly seeing the writing on the wall. Yesterday, they knocked off the Supreme Commander in Iraq. Good or bad, I won't go in, because there were two sides to the whole regime, one a repressive, the other an anti-imperialist stand. So you have to take a choice on what you are talking about. Now, within this, so when a system, when a philosophy, the nearest word that I can get for the spirit is perhaps a German word, Zeitgeist. Zeit standing for the times, and Geist standing for the spirit of the times. The spirit of the time moves on its own steam. We think, we have a similar Bengali term, bole hashe antarjami. E bole ami kori o bole ami kore hashe antarjami. So there is a force also reflective in other civilizations where you see a spirit, a movement, a theory, an idea that goes on relentlessly without challenge up to a point. I am an optimist. There is no point in us talking of human rights and other things in a context where these seem impossible to attain. But then that is our viewpoint. Plato had argued that democracy is the worst of the governments. Maybe he was right. We would not thrust our own value judgments on the audience and thinkers. I will just put in a few provocative points. I have a feeling that the writing on the wall right now is getting clearer and clearer. It is still very hazy. It starts with the absolute bastion of capitalism, America, when the Gaza genocide was going on, and a total of 150 universities went on protest. The combined force of coordinated media reported in bits and pieces. We do not get it. But we know from the other alternate media that at least 150 universities went in for it. People were expelled and all that. The first green shoots of protest against the system came up. It was against Zionism. It was not against Jews as such. It was twisted. After that, we have been getting further and further signs that the crisis within the system, the economic part of it, is the crisis within capitalism, is reaching such a stage that they are going to go in for internecine decimation. The tariff is an indication of internecine, internal decimation of capitalist countries. Each one, none of them are doing it for the sake of the people as such. They're doing it for the profits, and they're doing it for their economy, they are doing it for the balance of trade, they're doing it to strengthen the dollar, they're doing it to weaken the dollar. But none of these motives appeal to you and me. What matters is that these nations have gone in for the first stage of tariff wars. And the tariff war introduced by a person who is normally not taken to be normal is a different matter. Who fate chooses to lead is something that only fate can answer. But the fact is, with the tariff, so I have mentioned first the green shoots of protest, that was crushed relentlessly. Harvard, everybody had to capitulate. Harvard will be remembered in history as having stood up, the only university, others had to capitulate. Never mind, all victories are not predestined. Then you find these tariff wars that go on within, inflicting harm on each other's body economic, if I may use the term, rather than body politic, economic, harm within each other. Then it leads to the physicality of Paranjoy, straight, Ingava, straight. আমি একটু তামিলে বললাম ওইখানে আচ্ছা so that's Paranjoy Guha Thakurta, everybody knows him, he's splattered all over. Okay, so as I said, two of them have been, as I mentioned, the green shoots of protest. The second is the tariff war. The third evidence that people can get together and tell the establishment to go to hell at a time when the establishment has hardened its attitude to such an extent that demonic organizations like the ICE are going around slaughtering people in America. The response is Zohran Mamdani. That's another indication. In the campus, in what I call the Rome of the Roman Empire, New York of the American Empire, this is struck. And there's nothing you can do about it because the people have willed. So 1, 2, 3, we see. I would lend the last round of madness, picking up the ruler of Venezuela like a gangster and taking him away for some cooked up trial, controlling over Venezuela, and attack on Iran, though I do not support the repressive moves of the regime. I do support their fierce independence. Remember, members of the audience, the only Asian and African country, I'm repeating, the only Asian, African, and Latin American country that has never been subjugated by colonial powers is Iran. The only country. And that Iran has a ferocious sense of self-pride and thing. So I'm talking about the Iranian pride, I'm not talking the Iranian regime, though the two are interlinked. The war on Iran will bleed the forces that are doing it. I really do not think it will be a quick over because I have seen through the years of Vietnam, we have seen how an unarmed people, absolutely unarmed people, could use bamboo poles to pea-shoot arrows dipped with poison. That's all. We have seen them die by thousands. So we know what is happening. So far as I am concerned, the writing on the wall is the turn back from the extreme point of right-wing authoritarian capitalism is moving. How long it will take for a turnaround, I don't know. I cannot predict, but I can see the signs of it being challenged. The degree will depend, the entire thing will depend upon the degree of repression and the degree of reaction. That is for history to spell out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jawhar Babu. I'm not sure how many people will really, really be enthused by your optimism. Because what we are seeing in the world today, more and more countries are moving from left to right. Yeah, so seeing a writing in the world today that capitalism and American capitalism and crony capitalism all are going to, to be exterminated in near future. If you can see that writing, you are clairvoyant, and you must be a little, Navi or something like that. Anyway, I'll ask you a question later on, but let me pose you right now. Maybe in the second round we'll take it. You were a very distinguished civil servant for many years. When in India, from the left of the center, the power was shifting to the extreme right. Did you see the writing on the wall at that time as a civil servant? Because you were in the thick of it at that time. Just think about it. We'll take it in the next round. May I request Sanjay to be the next speaker? You want to speak from here?
No,
and,
I will go there.
And let us divide a little. We will focus on the writing on the wall in your sphere of interest. Okay?
I am interested in everything.
Okay, so in your specialization, don't say I am specialized in everything.
Thanks to Nirmalda and thanks to my friend Jawhar Sircar. In fact, I think Nirmalda had a point in choosing me, picking me up as the second speaker. We belong to the same generation, the same lost generation who were leaving school during late 60s, who were witnessing Sorbonne uprising, who were witnessing Naxal uprising, and who were saying in the streets of Calcutta, Sorbonne থেকে যাদবপুর সংগ্রামের একই সুর. The same chord rings everywhere from Sorbonne to Jadavpur. Gone are the days, and I wish my mother, my old mother, staying alive, a simple lady from Barishal, eastern part of Bengal, she used to say, looking at me, that দেয়ালের লিখানাং গোঠালায় মরণাং না জানি ভবিতব্যে আরো কত আছে. Believe me, it's not Sanskrit. It's a peculiar conjecture of Barishal dialect and Sanskrit language. If writing on the wall means anything, she assumed that we will go down deeper in the cow's steps. In any case, if I look at the world now, if writing on the wall says something, we belong to the world where we used to believe that be realistic, demand the impossible. Open the doors of asylums, hospitals, and high schools. Make love, not war. And police tumi jotoi maro maine tomar 112. And we are thinking that the stability of the instability that was haunting India, particularly at that moment of time, was the only answer to find, to get the final call. And now, after, say, almost 60 or 65 years, I find that apparently the world has become stable. As Nirmalda was saying, that it's right-wing turn. I don't know whether it is right-wing or left-wing, but strangely enough, for me, it's an optimistic thing. We joined the bandwagon of Marxism in the late 60s, whether it is with the bureaucratic Marxism of CPM or with the infantile disorder of the Naxals, doesn't matter. We joined Marxism. And we thought the history will be decided by historical materialism. You all know that. And ultimately our dream failed like anything. And we were thinking that somebody like Fukuyama would deliver us and he would declare end of history. And now this kind of civilization would prevail everywhere. We are undone. We can lecture at Sorbonne or McGill or Britain. Doesn't matter. This will be the total copyright of the academics, and the world will go the other way. But here, in a strange trick of fate, we are noticing that it is almost primitivism began to reign the world. It's like Homer's Iliad or Kashiram Das or Vyasdev's Mahabharata. Everything is possible. Everything is possible now. He was saying that somebody thought in a good morning that he will pick up the president and his wife. So he picked up. It was possible. He needed no Hanuman to carry the job, and he did it from Washington. And we saw, we witnessed, and we thought it's part of the game. Let T20 prevail the show. And then he thought Iran must be given a lesson. So he started war. It's more pathetic and more tragic and more comic than First World War situation. So he ordered bombing, and the bombing started, and we are discussing in English, in chest language, how to deal with the matter. How comical. Charlie Chaplin long ago said in Moshe Verdu that there are situations when murders become comical. But now we are pitted against a history which has itself become comical. So what to do? What is the writing on the wall? Clearly, the system has failed. The system has failed. Almost 500 years ago, a prince declared, the world is out of joint, O cast spite, alas, if I had to set it right. And now, the world is out of joint. It's no question of right-wing prevailing over the situation, because at least right-wingers had a kind of dignity. You expect something you expected from Mussolini. He was a clever man. He knew films. He encouraged Antonioni. He had a sense, if you go through his prose, you would understand that he was a literate person. Maybe bad, maybe worst. Everything admitted. But Mussolini was literate. He knew how to write Italians. And this Donald Trump, or these fellows, just simply illiterate. I won't say them illiterate, but they are semi-literate. They cannot explain the basics of capital-commodity relationship and becomes ruthless with journalists, fumbles before an educated audience, the court. It's a kind of international mastani spoken in English language. And that is why it gets dignified. Otherwise, it's parar kanai. And it's a pity that in this beautiful evening, Nirmal, otherwise a learned person, a scholar, has entrusted us with the responsibility of decoding the writing on the wall, and which so painfully our formal cultural secretary tried to explain, and now I, apparently an academic, trying to make a mockery of it. And I think this is simply unthinkable, where we have reached a situation where someone, a promoter or a builder, you know Trump basically a builder. I don't want to offend him as a builder, but a builder suddenly became the president of the United States of America. He is sitting in the chair where Abraham Lincoln and other Jefferson used to sit, and he is thinking that he has something to do for the world. And here in India, we have a prime minister who is cheerful because he was able to make a robot during his school days, and apparently he was awarded for that. Just think of the situation. And Nirmal is telling you, you remain within your arena. What is my arena? You are perhaps saying that you are apparently, you got your salary as a film teacher from university, so you remain within film. So what is the fate of us? You see, I am giving you the examples of Satyajit and other fellows, not of Ritwik Ghatak, I assure you. I will not touch Ritwik. Say Satyajit Ray, simpleton, used to believe in the 50s that a citizenship can be constructed following enlightenment procedures. He created Pather Pachali, Opu, the young boy, and then Aparajito, the emerging citizen, and then in 1959, Opu Sangsar, the family of Opu. Apparently, we came to learn that Satyajit has a grand design. How enlightened project to take place in a newly liberated country like India. And we believe that since he was a presidency college student, Jawhar Babu was also a student of that college. Now it has been promoted to a university, and it is going to be ruined in any moment. In any case, both of them must have read What is Enlightenment by Immanuel Kant. And Satyajit believed in Kant. He believed that people can receive enlightenment through following certain procedures. How simpleton he was. In 1959, he completed Opus Sangsar. And you see, only after 11 years, he was compelled to make Pratidvandi, the adversary, Sinhabadha, Company Limited, and Jana Aranyo, I'm not sure about the name, where Opu was transferred to the character Siddhartha, in Sinhabadha Shyamolendu, and in Jana Aranyo Somnath. A complete failure of the Enlightenment legacy, and Satyajit had to pathetically rewrite, revise his project, and we saw in him a wounded soul, helplessly uttering some nonsensical sentences following Rabindranath Tagore's Crisis of Civilization in Agantuk. Nobody wanted to listen to him. He was, during his last days, feeling the insecurity of a civilization where he was in. And now, when we are here in Shishir Mancho, named after Shishir Kumar Bhaduri, the great thespian, what to do? What is the writing on the wall? You call me to discuss about literature? Once upon a time, we had so many people, from Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay to say Moti Nandi or Shyamol Gangopadhyay, the great novelist. Now, you are in a position, if you go visit the book fair, people are more interested in 4th class English novels written by 5th class people. They survey, they make sociological survey and other things. A literature which has experienced Kapal Kundala and Putul Nachariti Katha, a literature which has witnessed Hasuliba ke Dupokatha, a literature which saw the evidence of Ichamoti, now painfully waits for someone who would be coming back from England or USA and would pen down a few words in English. And just because it is in English, that would be presented in a literary fest. This is festivity. Literature has become a carnival space. In land of Tagore, last evening I was speaking on Ritik's idea of Rabindranath in Shantiniketan. I came back from this afternoon. So I was thinking, what is Shantiniketan now? Simply a wine shop joint. Nobody reads Rabindranath. If somebody reads, they read in English, because Rabindranath's importance as an author should be explained in English. Otherwise, we would fail. As if you expect a Stendhal or Baudelaire to be explained in Hindi, otherwise they would fail as author. Just imagine the mockery of when Shakespeare and Dante wrote in their mother tongue in the medieval ages, only 2 of them. The others followed the route of Latin. It is simply because of the spread of British imperialism that English got so much importance, and Shakespeare became Bharater Kalidas Jagoter Tumi. And now the Italians say that Dante is their representative, not any other Latin expert. It's not like that we will have to follow a kind of civilized utterance, articulations everywhere. You won't be able to speak Jivananda the way Jivananda does. Have you ever seen a situation anywhere in the world? Say in Paris, I had spoken something in Paris. Do you expect that, I would say that I do not understand French, and so you listen to Bangla. It's not possible. In England, when you are in Rome, behave as the Romans. If you want to talk about Shakespeare in England, you'll have to talk in English. And if I am interested in Shakespeare, I'll have to learn Shakespeare. We have lost all dignity. This is, and everywhere, everywhere. When scientific affairs come in, we have forgotten the names of Satyendranath Basu, of Meghnad Saha, of Amol Rai Chaudhuri, and others. What we are doing? What trash we have been producing?
Time.
So, the has issued the warning that time may be out of joint, but you return, come back to time. I am coming back to time. I see no writing on the wall. I see it's a direct way to hell, for going to hell, and we would enjoy hell. A Season in Hell is a book of poetry after all. Thank you.
I don't know what to say. It's a very explosive speech, Sanjay. I intervened about time because I thought if I listen more of it, I'll turn a total pessimist, which I wanted to avoid. You talked about enlightenment, but you spoke like a nihilist, But I share some of your despair. It's all right. May I now request Anirban to kindly make his presentation, please.
Hello everyone, greetings. And it's a real honor to be speaking in front of esteemed guests. I have on this white shirt, but I would like to believe that I am an eternal optimist, but in this ever gloomy world we live in, I cannot help but speak in a pessimist tone. I have something with me to help me out, in fact. I won't take much time. I have 10 minutes, sir. Right, yeah. So I'll start with a story. In fact, these are two things I don't know if you have watched it or not. There's a Tunisian film, The Voice of Hind Rajab. I would touch on it. And then there's a 34-minute documentary on Netflix, All the Empty Rooms, if I'm not wrong. This is the name. So I'll talk about those, and then I'll tell why I chose to speak on those. I'll start off with, there are some quotes I have taken from foreign international publications. So I start off with Hind Rajab. The voice on the other end of the line was small and faint, a 6-year-old's voice, crackling on a mobile phone from Gaza. The tank is next to me. It's moving. Now, sitting in the emergency call center of the Palestinian Red Crescent, Rana tried to keep her own voice calm. Is it very close? Very, very. The small voice replied, "Will you come and get me? I'm so scared." There was nothing Rana could do except keep the conversation going. 6-year-old Hind Rajab was trapped under fire in Gaza City and begging for help, hiding inside her uncle's car, surrounded by the bodies of her relatives, which she believed, after some point of time, they were sleeping. See, she said this, they're sleeping. So Hind had set off from her home in Gaza City earlier that day with her uncle, aunt, and 5 cousins. It was Monday, 29 January. That morning, the Israeli army had told people to evacuate areas in the west of the city and move south along the coast road. Hind's mother, Wissam, remembers there was intense shelling and there was rain too, and she didn't want her daughter to walk with her. So she insisted that she go in her uncle's car. That sealed her fate, unfortunately. As soon as the car left, Wissam said to BBC, they heard loud shouting coming from the same direction. The car is thought to have unexpectedly come face to face with Israeli tanks. Inside the vehicle, the family called relatives for help. One of them contacted the emergency headquarters of the Palestinian Red Crescent, which was 50 miles or 80 kilometers away in occupied West Bank. And then what happened? So this phone call, they call back. And first, her 15-year-old elder sister, Layan, answered. She said in that recorded phone call that they are firing at us and everybody's dead. And then the operators at Palestinian Red Crescent, they heard another burst of fire. And then they called back again after a few minutes. And then Hind took up the call. And this is what she said, I mean, come and get me. It's getting dark. And my relatives are all sleeping. She had said dead, and then she said they are sleeping. Rana, the operator who kept on talking with a girl for hours, she said that, hold on for a minute, hold on for a minute. That minute went on for hours. And that girl diligently did what she was asked to. Then they patched her with her mother. And when Hind Rajab listened to her mother speak on the phone, she cried and she said, it's really dark. Just come and get me. And for these whole 6 or 7 hours, nobody could get there, right? This is the story of Hind Rajab. She was dead. So what has become of us? I got to this, I had heard of this film, this Tunisian film, which is competing in the best international film category in the Oscars. So I've heard of this film. This film got a 23.5-minute standing ovation in Venice probably, or Cannes, sorry. So all these things happened. I got to know about this film. I was moved. All of us probably would be moved. But then what? Nothing. Because we have become comfortably numb. Remember Pink Floyd, Roger Waters writing? Comfortably numb, we have become comfortably numb. Myself, definitely, and friends from my generation, we have always, most of us, we have not been allowed or taught rather to question. We have taken something, Lalmohn Ganguly, Lalmohn Babu had this in jest, he had said, in Sonar Kela kono proshno noy. We have taken it into an altogether different level. So there are no questions now. We cannot ask questions. Even in school, there was this power dynamics between a teacher and a student. If I'm standing here and others are listening to me, then I am the one who wouldn't take any questions. I am the one who would be dictating you or telling you where to go and where not to go. You don't ask me questions. So our parents, I blame my parents. I blame myself, and obviously my children would blame myself. I'm okay with it. But we have, this is a heritage of getting comfortably numb. Onek shomoy hoy na, our mothers, they say there's a public lynching going on, mob lynching going on next door. আগে অনেকটা হতো ওই দেখতাম যে মানে শুনতাম রাদার, আমি দেখিনি থ্যাঙ্কফুলি, যে somebody has been branded a thief and they have been caught and tied up at the lamppost and people are just thrashing him. Yeah, so this happens, and I have heard my relatives, older ones, they are getting back home and quickly bolting the doors and the windows. Ki dorkar baba? Ache to, somebody else would take care of that. We have, we have seen this happening, the lynching and the bolting of the doors. Nobody, or most of us, did not have, or we were taught not to get into trouble. Dorjata khule ekbar chitkar kor ba ja, dorkar nei, alu posto ache, Surjo Kumar Jadov ache, everything is fine. Be there. You are the soft one. You have this soft heart. So I think let's not open the windows. You won't be able to sleep, and that's not good for your health. You'll have to go, get up early tomorrow and go to work and do something very peaceful, very safe. This has been always taught to us. Bhalo thak, dudhe bhate thak. This dudhe bhate thak, I believe that this has been a most dangerous thing which has been taught to us. Safe, be safe, never go out. Don't take the road less traveled. Never take it. Others are there to do it. Why venture? So this has made us, again, comfortably numb. And here I come back to the other film, the documentary on Netflix. It's on the two journalists, Steve Hartman and Bob Hope. Bob Hope is a photographer. They have been documenting mass shootings in a school in US. And they decided to document the empty rooms of 4 of the victims. A 9-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and probably a 11-year-old. So this Bob Hope, the photographer, he, in an interview to Guardian probably, he had said that I had photographed erupting volcanoes, I had photographed guerrillas, warfare in the jungle, tailing them, but I've never been frightened as when I had to go to Florida in an empty room. It was to photograph that empty room of a victim, and the parents were standing there looking at Bob taking the photographs of what used to be their daughter's favorite corner, with scribbles and opened tiffin boxes, hairpins, stuffed teddies, all these things. So Bob Hope and Steve Hartman, they almost urge us, and they said that it was kind of, all of us should make it a point to visit those kind of places and stand there for 15 minutes. It would be really numbing. And Steve Hartman and Bob Hope say that probably that can help us wake up from the stupor we are in. Yeah, because if we don't wake up from that stupor, then to quote, and I will end with this, to quote Martin Niemöller, probably this would happen. First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. Thank you.
Everyone lives for oneself. That call it empathy, call it fellow feeling. These are gradually going out. We are becoming cynic, most of us. Thank you for pointing it out to all. May I now invite Paranjoy Babu, Paranjoy Guha Thakurta. Since Paranjoy Babu was absent at the beginning, so he was not been introduced properly. But then he needs no introduction. A very celebrated journalist, and always at loggerhead with power, and as a result, in a constant struggle, a number of books to his credit, and he's a journalist with a sense of values, journalist with mind. Yes, Paranjoy Guha Thakurta.
Thank you very much for all those kind words. বাংলায় বলা হয় না নজর লেগে যাবে নজর লেগে গেছে. Be that as it may, I've been told I should speak in English, so I can speak in English. So Bangla. Okay, for Martha, for you. I'll speak to you in English. And I'll strike a slightly different note. It's very easy to be a cynic, very easy. It's very easy to be, nothing will change. It's far more difficult to be an optimist, to believe in change, and how and whether it is possible, feasible for change to happen. So let me strike a note of what I would call cautious optimism. Optimism with caution. I'll speak for a few minutes about what is happening in our country, and I'll speak for a few minutes about what is happening in the media, because I'm a part of the media, part of the big bad world of mass communications, what is happening across the world. India, at some point of time, our Honorable Prime Minister will no longer be Prime Minister. I don't know when that will happen, but it will happen. But the bad news is that I would say 1 out of 3 Indians believe he's God. Bhagavaner avatar. They seriously believe it. I mean, if you look at the vote share of the Bharatiya Janata Party, in 2014 it was a little under 32%. In 2019 it went up to around 38%, a little over that, and then it came down to 36%. But we have a system of first past the post and winner takes all, as a result of which I believe that his popularity may have peaked. So, if 1 out of 3 Indians believe he is God, 2 out of 3 people don't. But the problem has always been the inability to come together and the success of the ruling regime to divide and rule as the colonial rulers did. For the first time, we are actually seeing, out of 1.45 billion people, about 200 million people told, you want to live in Hindustan, live in India, be accustomed to the fact that you're going to be a second-class citizen. And the media has a very important role to play in Islamophobia. Yes, there are only 2 countries in the world where there are more Muslims other than India, because we are a huge country, and that's Indonesia and Pakistan. But I believe, once again, you cannot continue to spread Islamophobia in this country. Again, it's reached a peak. When the Chief Minister of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, actually talks about Mia Muslims, he believes that most of the people in his state, and about 33% of that state are Muslim, that they will vote for him, that the remaining 2/3 will consolidate. We'll have to wait and watch. But what we are seeing is the surprises that happened in the general elections of 2024. In June 2024, forget Amit Shah claiming that the Bharatiya Janata Party will get 400 plus seats in the lower house of parliament or the Lok Sabha. The BJP had 303, it came down to 240. They were good 32 below the halfway mark. This surprised a lot of people. I must say I was also surprised. But the important part of it, and this surprised more people than others, was what happened in India's largest state, Uttar Pradesh. Supposed to be backward, supposed to be educationally backward, supposed to be socially backward, economically backward. What happened there? Out of 80 Lok Sabha seats in Uttar Pradesh, the Bharatiya Janata Party lost 30. 63, it came down to 33. All India, the BJP lost 63 seats, but 30 were in Uttar Pradesh. 6 union ministers, including Smriti Irani, Maneka Gandhi, Amit Shah's right-hand man, Ajay Mishra Teni, whose son allegedly ran over farmers who were protesting. Narendra Modi's own victory margin came down to roughly 480,000 to 150,000. The same story with Rajnath Singh, the defense minister. But the biggest shock of them all was when the Bharatiya Janata Party lost Faizabad, Ayodhya. They never expected, after spending so much money and so much hype on the Ram Mandir, that they would lose. Other than the people of Faizabad and Ayodhya, they didn't think it would happen, but it did. Then, and this is what makes me optimistic, but cautiously optimistic, the Election Commission of India was weaponized. like never before. Here was a constitutional authority which is responsible for conducting free and fair elections. The way elections were manipulated on a fairly low scale in Haryana, then in Maharashtra, India's second biggest state, and then in Bihar. Now my optimism. My optimism is that that process will perhaps stop now. It will not be repeated in Kerala, where the Bharatiya Janata Party is on the margins, or in Tamil Nadu. Once again, the BJP is in the margin, or even in this state, where the BJP is the biggest opposition party. In Assam, I will expect the BJP to win, because what has happened is what the Americans call gerrymandering, redrawing of constituencies, Muslim majority constituencies merged with Hindu majority ones. Okay. So once again, I think it's reached a limit. For the first time in the history of this country, in Maharashtra, there are more voters than those who are eligible to vote. This has never happened before in this country. The census, which was held every 10 years continuously from 1881, did not take place in 2021. It's going to happen now. After that, there will be delimitation. The size of the parliament, the lower house of parliament, will go up. From 543, it might go up to 600, it may go up to 650, it may go up even to 700. But the division between the northern part and the southern part of the country may worsen if the proportions don't match. And there's one person with whose support Mr. Modi is in power, and that's Chandrababu Naidu, Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. That will be a crucial point for him as to whether he continues his support. Let's try and look a little bit ahead. Many things can happen, but many things may not happen. Take the media. For the first time in the history of the planet, we've had a few conglomerates. Meta, which owns Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, headed by Mark Zuckerberg, who's in his 40s. Google, not just Google, it's the conglomerate is called Alphabet Incorporated. You have Google, you have YouTube, which has a virtual monopoly in video production, and you also have the Android operating system. Close to 90% of all the mobile phones in this world use the Android operating system. Imagine the power of these monopolies to determine what you read, what you hear, what you watch. But once again, people are slowly but surely realizing it, gaming the system. The founding fathers of the internet 30 years ago, 25 years ago, people like Winton Cerf and Tim Berners-Lee actually thought the internet would empower the weak, would weaken authoritarianism, would strengthen democracy. They are themselves appalled and shocked that the reverse has happened, that the internet has actually strengthened the status quo and helped authoritarian rulers and dictators across the world. How long can this continue? I'm not so sure. When we talk about left and right, let me just, I believe this comparison sometimes doesn't work. What is capitalism? Is China capitalist or socialist? I ask you a question. When in 2008, there was a great collapse, the great worldwide recession, what happened? You said it's too big to fail. Lehman Brothers can't fail. Your American insurance group cannot fail. General Motors can't fail. They were taken over. If General Motors, at one point of time, more than 50% of its shares were held by the public of the US, the government of the US, the taxpayers, was it private or was it public? So these notions are fluid. But what we are seeing are these changes taking place at an amazing pace and very fast. And what Jawhar said, Mamdani is, you can consider him to be an island in a sea of the right. But no, I believe that after the midterm elections take place later this year, Trump, his own, we're already seeing signs of his own Republican members no longer supporting him. His imperialist ambitions will take a back seat. Why? Blame a convicted sex offender who's no more with us. Epstein. All the muck is still to come out. But all that we are seeing, we see the reinforcement at one level of stereotypes, but we are also seeing the new world where we are ourselves becoming increasingly, slowly and surely, the masters of our fate. Therefore, you have two roads ahead of you. It was an analogy referred to very often. Which road? The road not taken. Yes, you can be a coward, live comfortably, or you can choose not to be a coward. And this has got nothing to do whether you believe in, whether you're a liberal, whether you're considered progressive, whether you're considered secular. I've seen this with my own eyes. But what you're seeing, oligarchs, the crony capitalists, their power, if they think that Gautam Adani and Mukesh Ambani and Elon Musk, their monopolies will always be there, I think again, you're living in a world where you forget that that bubble can burst and will burst. What happened in 2008? What happened? Therefore, I want to end, it's almost 10 minutes, my short speech with a note of some optimism that when the tiger is wounded, it becomes more dangerous. But remember that tiger has been wounded. Whether it's the President of the United States of America or the Prime Minister of India, you're dealing with wounded tigers. And when they see their power waning, then what you see outside is bravado, not bravery. And therefore, this is going to be a very, very difficult period, the next few years. But there's no reason to despair. Kali Yuga is here and now. But the darkest hour is always just before the dawn. Thank you. Namaskar.
Beautifully spoken. The darkest hour is always before the dawn. Thank you very much, Paranjoy Babu, for, I think it's an excellent analysis of Indian polity today, and also bringing some international focus on what is happening around the world. So far as, so far as the negative aspects are concerned, but at the same time you maintain your sanity and you have maintained your optimism. This is something not easy to come by. May I now request Prabal Kumar Basu as the last speaker of the session.
Good evening. I will speak in Bengali. Martha, I will later explain to you what I have spoken. And I think the rest of the audience, whoever are there, they understand Bengali. Kichudin age, 21 February galo, মাতৃভাষা দিবস। মাতৃভাষা দিবস এলেই আমরা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়ায় ঝাঁপিয়ে পড়ি যে আমাদের মাতৃভাষা বাংলা, আমাদের মাতৃভাষা বাংলা। এখানকার কথা বলছি যে আমরা ঝাঁপিয়ে পড়ি, এই গেল ভাষা চলে যাচ্ছে, ভাষার প্রতি আমাদের প্রেম, দরদ, আবেগ এগুলো উতলে ওঠে বলি আর কি। বাকি 364 দিন কি হয়? আমরা যখন স্কুলে পড়তাম, আমি একটা মেশিনারি স্কুলে পড়তাম, তো আমরা যখন স্কুলে পড়তাম 6-এর দশকের শেষ 7-এর দশক ধরে আমাদের ক্লাসে অনেক অবাঙালি ছেলেরা পড়তো, মানে যারা মাতৃভাষা বাংলা নয়, কিন্তু তারা আমাদের সঙ্গে সবসময় বাংলায় কথা বলতো, আমরাও তাদের সঙ্গে বাংলায় কথা বলতাম। 60-এর দশক 70-এর দশক অবধিও, 70-এর দশক শেষ অবধিও অনেক ট্যাক্সিওয়ালা কলকাতা শহরে ছিল, পাঞ্জাবি ট্যাক্সিওয়ালা, খুব ভদ্র বিনীত। তারা প্যাসেঞ্জারদের সঙ্গে বাংলায় কথা বলতো। প্যাসেঞ্জাররাও তাদের সঙ্গে বাংলায় কথা বলতো। এখন আমরা নিজেরাই যদি মনে হয় এই লোকটা বাঙালি নয়, আমরা তাকে হিন্দিতে কথা বলি। আমরা একটা ট্যাক্সিতে চড়লে মানে এখন তো উবের হয়ে গেছে, সব জানা যায়, আমরা জিজ্ঞেস করি কেতনা দেনা পড়েগা, কত দিতে হবে। আমরা কখনো তাকে বাধ্য করি না যে তাকে এই ভাষায় কথা বলতে হবে। তো এইটা হচ্ছে অবস্থান, রাইটিং অন দ্য ওয়াল, এক। নাও দুই হচ্ছে যে এটা কেন কেন এরকম হলো আর কি। আমরা একটা কথাই বলি যে বাজার সব ঠিক করে দেয়। তা বাজারই যদি সব ঠিক করে দেয়, তাহলে বাজার যেটা আমাদের বেঁচে থাকতে সাহায্য করে নানাভাবে, সেই বাজারে বাংলা ভাষা কোথায় বাকি 364 দিন? আমরা আমাদের যারা মেয়েরা যারা এখন স্কুলে টুলে পড়ে বা কলেজে পড়ে বা তার চেয়েও ছোটো, তারা জানে যে তারা আগে, আমি একটু বলে দিই, আগে ব্রিলিয়ান্ট স্টুডেন্ট যারা, আমি একজনের নামই করতে পারি, এখানে অনেকে জানেন, ডক্টর শিশির কুমার দাস, এরা বেছে নিতেন বাংলা ভাষা পড়ার জন্য, বা আরও অনেকে আছে, আমি একটা নাম করলাম, এটা নামটা সকলের পরিচিত বলে। কিন্তু এখন কার বাবা মারা কেউই চাইবে না তাদের ছেলেমেয়েরা বেছে নিক বাংলা ভাষা পড়ার জন্য, সাহিত্য। বাংলা ভাষা পড়ার জন্য। তো যখন বাংলা ভাষাটা না পড়ে কোনো ছেলে মেয়ে, ছাত্রছাত্রী বা তার বাবা মা যখন দেখে যে সে যদি অন্য কোনো ভাষা শেখে তার জীবনযাপনের অনেক সুযোগ সুবিধা বেশি হবে, সম্ভাবনা বেশি হবে, সে কেন বাংলা ভাষা বাকি সময়টা চর্চা করবে? 3 নম্বর হচ্ছে বাংলা ভাষার সাহিত্য বা একটা ভাষার সম্ভাবনাকে বৃদ্ধি করে, বাড়িয়ে তোলে সাহিত্য। তো একজন, আমরা সবসময় বলি বাংলা পাঠক কমে যাচ্ছে। পাঠক কেন কমে যাচ্ছে? একজন পাঠক আজকে যখন সে অন্য ভাষার সাহিত্য, আমি মূলত ইংরেজি ভাষার সাহিত্য, মানে অনুদিত হয়েও ইংরেজি ভাষার কথা বলছি, অন্য ভাষার সাহিত্য যখন সে পড়ছে, তার যখন যদি মনে হয় যে আমরা বাংলা ভাষার সেই মাপের লেখা, সেই মাপের সাহিত্য হচ্ছে না, সে কেন বাংলা সাহিত্য পড়তে যাবে? আমি হচ্ছে কি হচ্ছে না এই বিতর্কে যাচ্ছি না, কিন্তু সে, তার যদি মনে হয় পড়ছে না, কেন সে পড়তে যাবে বাংলা সাহিত্য? বাংলার মানে যারা মোটামুটি পড়াশুনো করে, যারা একটা সুস্থ জীবনের দিকে যেতে চায়, তারা কেন বাংলা পড়বে আমি বুঝতে পারি না। কারণ তারা সবাই বাংলা ছেড়েতে চলে যাচ্ছে। তারা যদি বাংলা ছেড়ে চলে যায়, তাদের ছেলেমেয়েরা তো আরও বাংলা শিখবে না। তো আমরা এই যে ভাষা করে একটা কুম্ভীরাশ্রু দিই আর কি, ফেলি, এই জায়গাটা কিভাবে বদলায়? মানে আমি খুব পেসিমিস্টিক শোনাচ্ছে হয়তো, কিন্তু বিষয়টা হচ্ছে এই ভাষাটা কি তাহলে হারিয়ে যাবে? ভাষাটা কি ধীরে ধীরে, আজ নয় হয়তো 100, 150, 200 বছর পরে? কারণ এই ভাষায় যদি সবাই চলে যেতে থাকে, কারা শুধু এই ভাষায় কথা বলবে? সবাই যদি বাইরে বেরিয়ে যেতে থাকে, কারা এই ভাষায় কথা বলবে? এবং বাইরে বেরিয়ে না যায় যেতে, সেটা তার জন্য যে ব্যবস্থাটা করা, সেই ব্যবস্থা করাটা জরুরি, যাতে সকলে মনে করে। মানে আমি যখন আমার ক্যারিয়ার জীবন শুরু করেছিলাম 83 সালে, তখন আমি মনে করেছিলাম আমি কলকাতা ছেড়ে কখনো যাব না। একটা স্টিল প্ল্যান্টে, মানে বোকারো স্টিল প্ল্যান্টে পোস্টিং পেয়েছিলাম, চাকরি যাইনি, কোনো চাকরি হাতে ছিল না, যাইনি যে কলকাতা ছেড়ে যাব না বলে। আমি পেয়েও গিয়েছিলাম চাকরি, তখন চাকরি পাওয়া যেত কলকাতায়, সেই জোরটা ছিল। এখন কিন্তু সবাই বলে যে কলকাতা ছেড়ে চলে যাব, যারা একটু লেখাপড়া করার সুযোগ পায়। কারণ একটা জাতিকে যদি ভিখিরি বানিয়ে দেয়া হয়, তাহলে তার ভবিষ্যৎ, মানে রাইটিং অন দ্য ওয়াল কি হতে পারে আমার জানা নেই। আমি অন্তত আশার আলো কিছু দেখি না। এইটুকুই। নমস্কার।
Stage of conclusion, আমি প্রবালকে শুধু বলবো যে তুমি দেওয়াল লিখনটা কি দেখতে পাচ্ছ? মানে তোমার ভয় হচ্ছে বাংলা ভাষা নির্বাপিত হয়ে যাবে নাকি?
বাংলা ভাষার চাইতেও আমার ভয় যেটা বাংলা সংস্কৃতিটা,
হ্যাঁ,
বাংলা ভাষার চাইতেও যেটা আমার মনে হয় বাংলা সংস্কৃতিটা হারিয়ে যাবে, যেটা অনেকটাই হারিয়ে যাবার পথে।
আমি এখানে দুটো কথা বলতে চাইব যে এমনিতেই সবসময় একটা মুভমেন্ট হয় ফ্রম এ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ অফ লাভ টুয়ার্ডস এ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ অফ অপরচুনিটি, এবং সেই মুভমেন্টটা সমাজের অনেক কিছু পার্টিকলস দ্বারা প্রভাবিত হয়, সেটা সবসময় আমাদের কন্ট্রোলের মধ্যে থাকে না। কেন রাজস্থানি ভাষা আছে, দস্তুর মতো উন্নত ভাষা, কিন্তু প্রায় প্রত্যেক বড় রাজস্থানী লেখক হিন্দিতে লেখেন, বিকজ দ্যাটস দ্য ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ অফ অপরচুনিটি ফ্রম দেম। সেম ইজ ট্রু অফ ভোজপুরি, মৈথিলি অ্যান্ড আদার কুমায়ুনি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজেস। আর 2 নম্বর হলো ভাষা, ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ইজ এ ডাইনামিক অর্গানিজম। কাজেই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ যদি যে সময়ের চাপে একটা ভাষার সৃষ্টি হয়, সময়ের মধ্যে যে 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 অবজেক্টিভ কন্ডিশন থাকে সেটা যদি ফুরিয়ে যায় তাহলে ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ মরেও যায়, এবং মরে গিয়ে ক্লাসিক ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসাবে বেঁচে থাকে। না হলে এত জনপ্রিয় একটা ভাষা ল্যাটিনের আজকে এই পজিশন কেন, সংস্কৃতের আজকে এই পজিশন কেন? কাজে আমার মনে হয় এতে নিয়ে এত 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 নিরাশ হওয়ার কোনো কারণ নেই প্রবাল। এইটা একটা ইতিহাসের একটা চাপ আছে এর মধ্যে, সমাজতত্ত্বের একটা চাপ আছে এর মধ্যে। কাজে আমি ওইখানে আশাবাদ ছাড়তে চাইছি না। যাই হোক, আমরা
দুজন পেসিমিস্ট, তিনজন
ভোটে তাই হচ্ছে, কিন্তু আমি অনির্বাণকে উইল ফিনিশ ইন 3-4 মিনিটস। অনির্বাণকে শুধু জিজ্ঞেস করবো যে আফটার লিসেনিং টু পরঞ্জয় বাবু, any rethinking?
The thing is, মানে আমি নিজে আমি একটা জায়গায় লিখেছিলাম, তারপর খেয়াল ছিল না, ওয়ান অফ মাই ফ্রেন্ডস পয়েন্টেড দ্যাট টু মি, যে আমি ঘোর পেসিমিস্ট, একই সঙ্গে ঘোর পেসিমিস্ট এবং জাত অপটিমিস্ট। তো দ্য থিং ইজ, না স্যার যেটা বললেন সেটা তো আছে আমার, না মাই থিং ইজ বাংলা ভাষা নিয়েও প্রবালদা যেটা বললেন, বা পরঞ্জয় স্যার যেটা বললেন, জওহর স্যার যেটা বললেন, যে যা অবস্থা আর অপটিমিজমের জায়গা অ্যাবসলিউটলি আছে, সেটা আমি বুঝতে পারি, বিকজ মাই ডে জব ইজ ওয়ার্কিং ফর আ নিউজ পেপার। তো সেখানে অনেক ইয়াং রাইটার্সদের দেখি, ওরা যা লেখে, আমি বলছি যে মানে তথাকথিত নামজাদা যারা, তাদের তো একটা আলস্য হয়তো চলে আসে, যে আমি এত এস্টাবলিশড, আমি যা দেব সেটাই লোকে পড়বে, সেটা হয়। কিন্তু আমি বলছি যে ইয়াং যারা লিখছেন, তাদের ক্ল্যারিটি অফ থট, তাদের থট প্রসেস এন্ড অল, সেইগুলো এতটাই স্ট্রাইকিং যে আমাকে ফোর্স করছে যে পেজ এডিটর হিসেবে, যে আমার কাছে কি মার্কেট কি বলে, যে নামজাদা রাইটারকে পেজ 1-এ দাও, পেজ 2, 3 বা 4-এ বাকি। দে হ্যাভ ফোর্সড মি টু ডু সামথিং ডিফারেন্ট, একদম। এবং তারা যা ভাবছে, মানে তাদের আইডিয়া, তারা যে সেটা অন্য দিক দিয়ে দেখছেই। আই এম এ স্টুডেন্ট অফ হিস্ট্রি, তারা আমাকে যেগুলো বলছে সেইগুলো আমি জানি, কিন্তু দ্য ওয়ে দে আর অ্যাপ্রোচিং ইট, এর চেয়ে ফলে আমি না ওই বাংলা ভাষা, হ্যাঁ মানে যেমনটা আপনিও বললেন যে অপরচুনিটির ব্যাপারটা আছে, কিন্তু এখনও যারা রয়েছে তাদের যদি আমরা একটু মানে তাদেরকে পুশ করার কিছু নেই, দে আর নট ওয়েটিং টু বি পুশড সামওয়্যার, দে ডোন্ট ওয়ান্ট দ্যাট। কিন্তু তাদের সঙ্গে যদি একটু থাকি না, আমি বলছি যে এই অপটিমিজমটা বাড়ার অনেক চান্স আছে। আর আমার যেটা পয়েন্ট ছিল দ্য রাইটিং অন দ্য ওয়াল, আমি যেটা দেখছিলাম যে উই আর গেটিং কমফর্টেবলি নাম অ্যান্ড দের ইজ নো বডি অর দের ইজ নাথিং টু ওয়েক আস ফ্রম দিস স্টুপার। তো আমি বলছি যে ইফ উই ট্রাই অ্যান্ড find out these people, these young people, young at mind, young at heart, tahole they would at least give us at least myself, give me a solid kick in my backside and wake me up from the stupor I am in, and I won't be probably, I won't dare to come to this kind of a occasion and say that we are comfortably numb, because they would break that. So that is my optimism.
Thank you very much. The last word, Jawhar Sircar. Apni culture secretary, sir, apni bolun.
No, you asked me a question, whether it's, we are able to predict, আমরা predict করতে পারি কিনা কোনো trend. Writing on the wall কোনো ছিল কিনা. The answer is both yes and no. মানে আমাদের যেটা হয়, we have a cacophony of views, multiplicity of views, and you have to track somebody you feel is reliable, not because you are close to your heart. I am telling you, I have seen the entire movement happening from 89. I was in government at that time, no? 89 when I saw the Ram Janmabhoomi movement coming up. Ekta kore brick, ekta kore eent tola is one of the most fantastic marketing campaigns ever thought of in the world. Joy Shri Ram kore ekta kore eent. 5 টাকা দিয়েছি, তার প্রাণের সাথে জুড়ে গেল মুভমেন্ট। আই স দেয়ার পেনিট্রেশন, আমি পুরোটাকে দেখলাম। 92 6 ডিসেম্বর ভাঙতে দেখলাম, কিন্তু আমার চারিদিকে যারা আছে, এভরিবডি অ্যারাউন্ড, তারা তখনও হাসতো, আর ককটেল জোক ছিল মন্দির হাম ওয়াহি বানায়েঙ্গে। আমরা হেসে উড়িয়ে দিয়েছি, বিকজ দ্যাট ইজ দি প্রম্পটিং অফ মাই ক্লাস, হ্যাঁ, টু রিডিকিউল পিপল হু আর সেন্সলেস। But within next few years, একটু keenly observe করলে কিন্তু আপনি দেখবেন everything was coming. আমি আপনাকে ছোট্ট করে বলে দিচ্ছি 2-4 ইনসিডেন্ট, because I happened to be there at that time and this thing. 2009 থেকে দেখা যাচ্ছে প্রাইভেট টিভি বেড়ে যাচ্ছে। 2002 their uplinking from Dubai and others was stopped and they came in. কি করবে বুঝে উঠতে পারছে না। ফাস্ট ফরওয়ার্ড 2008-9, when 2008-9 থেকে দেখাচ্ছে যে তাদের সেই একটা বিশাল শক্তি পেয়েছে, they were trying to connect. They were using cases like ওই বিল্লা রঙ্গা যে রেপ করেছে, they were using cases like that, candle light and all that, এসব করে তারা চেষ্টা করছে, ওগুলোতে লাইমলাইট আছে, who killed Jessica Lal. This is all this period. Now in 10 something else happened. The economics of TV are adverse. I know it, I handled one of the biggest TV corporations. The economics are adverse for various reasons. তখন দেখা গেল প্রথমে 10 শুরু করলো কমনওয়েলথ গেমসে, একটা ভাঙা পটির ছবি became viral. Okay, একটু জল জমেছে, that became viral. I can assure you that the only successful international event India has conducted was the Commonwealth Games. এত গালাগাল দেওয়া সত্ত্বেও, হ্যাঁ, for those 12 days, from the 3rd of October till the 3rd থেকে 19th কত অব্দি, it stopped, because I was a member of the Commonwealth Games Committee. I was the only one who was never questioned by CBI. So, তো দেখলাম বন্ধ হয়ে গেল, আবার শুরু হলো। So something was provoking in the name of free press to go in for the kill. And the kill happened in the middle of January 2011, when Kalmadi was finally sent to jail and the press had won the battle of trial by media. এরপর থেকে একটা কনসার্ন করে, আজকে আমি আর পরঞ্জয় একটু ব্যাকে গেলে আমরা বুঝতে পারবো what was actually happening. হঠাৎ কোথা থেকে একটা আন্না হাজারে জুটে গেল, করে দিল পুরোটা, আস্তে আস্তে ফোর্স আসতে আরম্ভ করে, তারপর টিভি ফোকাস, দুম করে আন্না হাজারের পরে হয়ে গেল নির্ভয়ের রেপ। সেটা নিয়ে চললো। So you can connect these events, and behind it, people like Raddeep, আমরা যারা একটু খবর রেখেছি, was a rumor that the Bombay Gujarat group had decided on Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister. This is 2010. Everything takes shape after that. মানে nothing was by accident. কিন্তু নরেন্দ্র মোদীর যে লাক যেটা ছিল, মানে this is where historical things come in. He got YouTube, ঠিক আছে? He got hologram, he got WhatsApp, he got Amit Malviya থেকে, Amit Malviya থেকে বড় রোল আরো অনেকে প্লে করেছে, আস্তে আস্তে করে নামগুলো আমি পরে বলে দেবো। He got that weapon of social media that A. Manmohan Singh never understood because very close to him. He never understood what do you do with this? তো ওই টাইপের। And none of his people understood, excepting Kapil Sibal. So here was a group, চোখের সামনে পায়ের মাটি কাটছে কিন্তু। The entire innovative happened, and when we spoke about it, so what I am saying in summary is that the ascension of Narendra Modi happened from the year 2009, by design, by payment, and by this thing. You examine the advertisement revenue of all the major TVs, including NDTV. Examine it and see. হ্যাঁ। Internet, sorry, internet, WhatsApp, Instagram, Orkut, Facebook, এই যে সব একসাথে এক্সপ্লোশন হলো within 3 years. হ্যাঁ? না, বলছি যে এই যে সময়টা somebody could project oneself beyond the media, and the TV media being heavily subsidized in this period. তারা দেখছে অ্যাডভার্টাইজমেন্ট আসছে, TRP বাড়ছে। তারা they did not conspire for it, I'm not saying, but এই হলো, this is what I call historical inevitability. যখন হয় তখন এগুলোই হয়। সেটাকে একটু দূরে, বড় হয়ে গেছে তো, একটু দূরে আমি চলে যাই, পাহাড়ের উপর উঠে কিছুক্ষণ আবার নিজে বকবক করছে, আমি উপর থেকে দেখি যে কি কোন দিকে যাচ্ছে। So that is my observation, that's all. One did not need to agree, কিন্তু আমি আপনাকে বলে দিচ্ছি, I can see the green shoots. না, I can see the reverse has started.
So on this optimistic note, we come to an end of this session. It remains for me to thank my distinguished panel members, and also to thank the audience, or whatever remained of the audience, for your patient hearing. Thank you very much.
And thank you.